A lot of good games. Let's start with I think I'm trying to think now, let the games run through my head. But off the top of my dome, this has to be the shocker of the weekend. And not that Baltimore won.
Because remember, they were at home and they were the favorites. So it wasn't an upset.
No, it wasn't an upset, but the way they did it, I mean, they manhandled the Los Angeles Chargers, who were coming off we're playing tremendous football, right?
They scored 47, remember, right? To beat the Browns. They came back big, Chris. That was their game going into this one. And you're right. A lot of people were like, oh, no, the Chargers are rolling. And I'll say that.
And the Baltimore Ravens had struggled a little bit. Had to come back on Indy. Right.
They came back against
Detroit.
They came back against Kansas City. I mean, so they've been behind a lot. But this one, they came out. Their defense played really well. Justin Herbert wasn't nearly the guy he had been, Chris.
No,
in that game. And then Lamar. I mean, I want to hear your thoughts on Lamar and where he is, Chris, because I picked him for the MVP.
Well, no, you didn't. Yeah,
I did.
But then you switched after week one. It don't matter. It didn't even happen at this point. You pick your MVP is Aaron Rodgers.
14
those are the rules, Rob.
Pick.
You were a prisoner. Just admit that you were a prisoner of the moment.
I wasn't a prisoner of the moment. 14 touchdowns and 1 pick over the last 5 weeks.
He ain't even in the conversation right now. You
said that last year when he won.
No,
okay.
Right. It's early. He's got a chance. He hasn't disqualified himself, but he's not in the top 5 right now. But you should have stuck with Lamar. But I'm about to sing Lamar's praises, but let me say this, and I think
About time.
I think that, I gave him props last week. I want to say this first, though. And I think this will soothe some of the minds and emotions of the Chargers fans out there. Okay? Don't hop off your team. To me, Rob, this game does not mean that the Chargers aren't legitimate.
Oh,
I'm not saying they're the favorites, right, to win the AFC.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
You know what I'm saying? Right. It's a bad game. It happens. I think, look, they were coming off, Rob, 4 straight weeks of really legitimate opponents. Dallas, Kansas City, the Raiders, and the Browns.
And could have won that Dallas game if you really want to be honest.
So, it's tough when you play a tough team every week. That doesn't happen all the time in the NFL. I get it. Every game is you got to show up. But obviously there's elite teams, there's very good teams, and there are bad teams. And they've played 4 good teams or above the last 4 weeks, and very few teams have done that. So I think that it's not a letdown, but I just think that had a little something to do with it. Rob, and I should have thought about this when we made the picks. They had the dreaded flight from the West Coast
Rob
to the
G
East Coast. I'm
about
guessing
it.
you took some of that into consideration.
Yep. Rob G was all over that.
You play it's 10 a.m. in the West when they were playing.
When you kick off at 1 East Coast, your body clock is 10 a.m.
Yep. And so I think that had a little something to do with it. And I also think Baltimore, they had, like you said, Rob, they had struggled the last few weeks, at least to win. They won, but, had their ups and downs and edged a bad Detroit team and had to come back against Indy. So they were ready to really make a statement, and they obviously did. So I don't think the gap between these two teams is, 28 points. But I just wanted to say that for any of you Chargers fans, there's no need to hop off the bandwagon. Your team is still a very good team. With the Ravens, Rob, and Lamar, and he broke records. Rob G, I'm not going to read them, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, he became the winningest quarterback ever under 25 years old.
Yeah, beat Dan Marino's record, which is impressive.
Yep. Dan Marino had 34 wins, and now Lamar's got 35. And to put that in perspective, Rob, Marino's best years were his early years.
No, Chris, his first and second years were great in Miami. I mean, because they went to the Super Bowl his second year. That was the year.
Right.
I think he had the 50 touchdowns,
thought, he's going to be there several times.
Yeah.
Yep. I believe that was the year. But his first few years were his best years. And so for Lamar to break that is not whistling Dixie. So that was a great achievement for him. But what I'm going to say is this, Rob. I think Lamar, I've had questions about him. And I'm going to be honest, I've had questions from day one. when he came out of college, he wasn't the most accurate guy in college. I think it was below 60% even at the college level. And when guys were talking about moving him to receiver,
including who was
Bill
the GM?
Polian. Bill Polian, Hall of Fame GM.
Exactly, who said it on ESPN.
Right.
Oh, he should go run out some pass routes or whatever. And Lamar's like, I'm not doing that. And I applauded him for saying that because this guy, was like, no, I'm a quarterback. I want to play quarterback in this league. And he got the chance. And look.
Right. And I thought he should have got a shot, but I didn't think, like some people thought it was racist what Polian was saying. I didn't think it was racist because there's plenty of black quarterbacks in the league. I thought it was a legitimate analysis that Lamar's not that accurate and he's not going to be able to run like that in the NFL. At least that was the thinking. Well, and I was in line with that thinking.
But the only thing is, Bill Polian couldn't have been more wrong about him. Only from he was unanimous
totally
MVP. Yeah. Right. I'm just saying, like I could get it, Chris. Like when they had with Pittsburgh, who was Slash.
Cordell Stewart.
Cordell Stewart. You remember that? And he was he was running out.
Right. He did all types of stuff.
He did all kinds of stuff to get in there, slot receiver and all that kind of stuff. But Lamar has proven that he is something special. But go ahead. I don't want to.
No, there's no doubt. And so every year he's proven something else. Like, number one, he proved he could run like that in the NFL and stay healthy. That was my big concern. I didn't think he'd be able to stay upright. Just keeping it real. I thought he'd take too many shots and it would eventually wear him down. Cam Newton is twice as big as Lamar, and you saw what the physical play and the shots have taken their toll on him. Now, Cam took more shots. He was more of a physical runner, sometimes challenged, defensive players, where Lamar doesn't necessarily slide. He certainly doesn't slide all the time. But he's able to just shift his weight and, avoid the huge hits. He's taken some, but for the most part, he's avoiding them. So that's the first thing. Then, Rob, his character and his work ethic is tremendous. And you see both of those things come forth in the way he continues to improve year after year. My big question after last season was, can he hit receivers or outside the numbers? He was big on hitting the tight end, which is what a lot of young quarterbacks do because it's like a safety net for a quarterback. But could he hit guys outside the numbers? And I wasn't alone. In fact, there were players that doubted him, Rob. 3 receivers, Kenny Galladay, Juju Smith-Schuster. I call him John Smith-Schuster. Who was the other? There was one more receiver that rejected going to Baltimore because they were like, we want to catch the ball. So they doubted him. The players, Rob, before last season, he was number 1 in the league.
Yeah, I wonder where those receivers are now.
Before this season, he was 24th in the league. So I wasn't alone, and those who doubted him weren't alone. But what he has done through his character and work ethic is proven the doubters wrong. And so what I like is now he's progressing in his passing game, Rob. He's hitting receivers outside the numbers. He's throwing the ball well downfield. His numbers would be even more impressive if there weren't a few drops from Hollywood Brown. And
in that Detroit game, you remember he dropped 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yep. And Hollywood dropped one this weekend, I believe, too. So he is progressing in his passing to the point where eventually when he can't run this way, just because, you get a little older, you lose a half a step, he will be able to win games with his arm. You kind of see it now. You saw it last week, Rob, 441 yards he threw for.
Which is a career high.
He's able to win it now with his arm. And obviously he's still the most dangerous guy in the league with his legs. So I got nothing but praise for Lamar Jackson, from his character to his work ethic. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender, particularly, Rob, because the defense also stepped up. The defense showed you we're still that team.
Right. No, the defense played well, but now I think people have to respect which one, Chris. You got to pick your poison. He can still run, and if you put an extra man in the box, he'll beat you. He'll throw the ball downfield. I mean, so now you got, what are you going to do? You going to put an extra man in the box, or you going to put that guy out in the backfield? Out in the secondary. right? And then let Lamar run on you. So he is a real threat. We've seen it. We've seen him change the game. We've seen him pull out games at the end. In that Detroit game, Chris, where they had the big field goal, don't forget, he had to convert a 4th and 29 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like he didn't run it. He threw it.
It's
like
incredible.
4th and 29 and got it. So
and he's an outlier, Rob. Like he's an outlier because you just, what made me think of that, you said change the game. And certainly he's, but there's no, like Justin Fields is a great little runner. Kyler Murray is close to Lamar, but not quite there. Russell Wilson, like nobody's run it like this dude. Even Michael Vick, I don't think ran it like him.
No, and Chris, here's the other thing too. 6th in the NFL in passing. You would, if we told you this 2 years ago, that he'd be 6th. With Aaron Rodgers and Herbert.
He's way ahead of Aaron Rodgers.
And Mahomes, right. That's what I'm saying. And all these guys like that, you would say he wouldn't be 6th. And he's 7th in the league in rushing. I mean, 6th and say in the top 10 in both. So he's having a magical season.
He's right there in the MVP hunt. I think it's him, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, and Dak Prescott, my top 4 right now. But he's right there. Long way to go, though.